Hey everybody. So we all know that 2020 was overall a crazy year for Public Freakouts, and one of that crazy year's most crazy viral freakout stories revolved around a mom and her young son who were attempting to get a table at a Mediterranean seafood restaurant called Ouzo Bay, which sounds disgusting, but it's actually a really high-end joint in Baltimore's East Harbor neighborhood. The restaurant manager denied the mother-son duo a table on account of the restaurant's dress code, saying the child's outfit was not up to their standards and they therefore couldn't eat there. Now, I'm a guy who thinks restaurant dress codes in general are pretentious as is, but I can at least understand the concept of wanting to preserve a high-end atmosphere at a nice restaurant. The problem with this particular case was that he was telling these folks they wouldn't be served because of the kid's outfit, and then the mother points out two other children who are seated and eating at the restaurant at that very moment, both of whom appear to be wearing exactly the same type of clothing, for which our main characters were just turned away. Despite pointing out this glaring discrepancy, she finds herself stonewalled by the manager, who continues to stick to their guns and insist that it's somehow different, even appearing to change the stated dress code criteria mid-argument. If you ever wondered what happened in the aftermath of this crazy incident, or you've just never seen it, I've got all the tea for you. But first, let's see the original clip.
The gentleman's already explained it to you.
Okay, tell it to me again. You telling me we cannot eat here?
So unfortunately, we do have a dress code. If you have some non-athletic shorts.
But that white kid out there can eat here with his tennis shoes on and his athletic shirt.
So we allow tennis shoes, but not athletic shorts and t-shirts.
He has one. You telling me that's not an athletic shirt? Not that one. But you telling me that little boy who just ate here does not have on an athletic shirt?
I'm sorry. I would love for you to be able to come back and eat here.
So you telling me my son can't eat here because he has on athletic stuff?
No, just the shorts.
So apparently the tennis shoes are just fine. It's the athletic basketball shorts and the athletic t-shirt that are the problem for this restaurant manager. However, if you look at what that other kid is wearing, he is very clearly wearing blue basketball shorts, bright blue basketball shorts, and an athletic t-shirt. It is the same outfit.
It is part of our dress code. We try to enforce
So it's only his short? Only the short can't be athletic?
the shorts and the t-shirt, yes.
But the little boy has on an athletic, the little white kid that just sat out there had on an athletic tennis shoes and an athletic shirt.
I understand that you're upset. If there's
No, it's not that I'm upset. The little boy out there had on athletic, you telling me it's no athletic wear. The little boy out there had on athletic tennis shoes and an athletic shirt. So why does he get to wear athletic wear and my son can't?
I would love for you to be able to come back. Do you live close enough for your son to change?
No, I don't.
He's stonewalling here and trying to change the subject. He, for some reason, thought that would work. He seems to be panicking a little bit, realizing that he has kind of argued himself into a corner here, but he sticks to his guns nonetheless.
I just want to know why it's different for my son.
I understand how you feel.
I don't want you to sympathize with me. I just want you to tell me why it's different for my son. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just asking you why it's different for my son.
I understand.
And that little kid that was out there with athletic tennis shoes and...
The t-shirt that the little kid was wearing, we don't consider that to be athletic t-shirt.
Why?
Honestly, I did not get a good look, but it looked like a regular t-shirt.
I have a video. Do you want to see it?
If you would like to show it to me, I'm happy to look, but I do have to...
Okay, does anyone else find it super weird that she's continuing to focus on the t-shirt and the shoes when that kid was clearly wearing basketball shorts, and he very clearly stated, this manager, that basketball shorts were a problem? That should be open and shut, done deal, right there, the basketball shorts that they are both clearly wearing. But for some reason, nobody calls this out in the entire video. Anyway, so this was posted to the woman's Facebook page on the 22nd of June, a Monday, and by Tuesday, the very next day, the video had gone so viral that the Atlas Restaurant Group, parent company of the Ouzo Bay restaurant, yeah, that's just such a gross name, issued a lengthy apology on Twitter. Today, we learned of an incredibly disturbing incident that occurred over the weekend at one of our restaurants in Baltimore, Uzu Bay. The video made public earlier today was by a very concerned mother after she and her young son were denied seated dining service at the restaurant due to her son not meeting the dress code requirements. The video clearly shows the woman's son, an African-American young person, wearing athletic shorts and an Air Jordan shirt. The video also shows a Caucasian youth dressed similarly who was permitted to dine in the restaurant. This should never have happened. The manager seen in the video has been placed on indefinite leave. We are sickened by this incident. We sincerely apologize to Marcia Grant, her son, and everyone impacted by this painful incident. This difficult situation does not represent who or what Atlas Restaurant Group stands for. While dress codes across Atlas properties are the result of ongoing input from customers, in no way are they intended to be discriminatory. That said, this past weekend's incident at Uzu Bay clearly serves as a moment we will learn from and create change. We've taken the time to gather the facts and repeatedly review this video and interview employees. As a result, we immediately revised our dress code policy so that children 12 years and younger who are accompanied by an adult will not be subject to the dress code at any Atlas property. From a management perspective, this is a level of sensitivity, discretion, and customer service we expect, and this incident will serve as a teachable moment to ensure it is not repeated. So, following this apology, various protests against the restaurant started taking place at actually all of their restaurant locations, with some calling for the restaurant to scrap their dress code entirely. And apparently this apology did little to dissuade the mother, a woman again named Marcia Grant, from pressing on the issue further, because on July 1st, the mother and son had appeared for an interview with their lawyers, stating that they would be filing a federal discrimination lawsuit against the Atlas Group.
Joining us now exclusively is Marcia Grant and her son Dallas, live from Baltimore, and their attorneys Stephen Metcalf and Nanette Metcalf. Thank you all for joining us this morning. And Marcia, considering the moment that the country's in right now, did this surprise you at all? And what do you think why do you think they would not let you inside the restaurant?
I can't really say why they wouldn't let me in the restaurant originally. But once I pointed out to the guy that there was a white kid there with similar dress, I can only imagine that it was based on the fact that Dallas was black. And I kept on insisting that, I'm sorry, that,
It's okay.
it's okay.
It's okay.
I kept on insisting that, the white kid has on the same thing that Dallas has on. Why won't you let my son in? And he just would not, regardless of how hard I pushed for him.
Yeah, we definitely understand your emotion in this, and you could take your time. Don't worry about that. And Marcia, this sort of racism, it is not new. You said you've experienced it before, but was this the first time Dallas has ever been exposed to something like this? And what did you say to him after?
Yes. This was the first time Dallas had experienced that. And he goes to a predominantly white school. It's mixed, but it's predominantly white. And they teach the kids that everyone is the same. So for him to see a kid outside that looked like one of his friends at school, it was tough for him. But I just explained to him, we just have to keep on fighting, keep on pushing. He knows I always fight for him, regardless of whether it's the school or anyone that's supposed to do something for him and does not. Whatever is right for him, he knows I'll, continue to push for him. And we just have to keep on pushing for social justice, and for equality.
And Dallas, I know this was tough for you, but you were recognized on the street the other day. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, it was a Baltimore City police cop who said he was sorry for the stuff at the restaurant, and he said I can come over to his house any time for dinner.
And how did that make you feel?
Makes me feel really good.
As it should. And if you're in New York, you can come to my house anytime you want to. I can't cook. Food's not very good, but you can come over and eat with me, man.
And this, folks, is where things start to get crazy. Because immediately after this interview, in fact, the next day on July 2nd, an official lawsuit was filed against Atlas, seeking $150,000 in damages on each of 4 different counts. And Atlas Group, who had just days before written a lengthy statement about its commitment to diversity, did a full 180, suddenly claiming that the mother and son were actually not discriminated against at all, and that the woman was using the event to put her, quote, put her son on an orchestrated media tour, unquote. In a lengthy response issued on July 3rd, they accuse Grant of refusing to engage with them in a constructive, healing dialogue and claiming that the Atlas Group tried over a dozen times to contact Grant after the incident. That may be true. They very pointedly say that Grant and her son were not discriminated against in this incident, going so far as to claim that the boy pictured in the video was wearing not basketball shorts, as I'm going to say this right now again, I think that was very clearly basketball shorts. But what they claim is that this was actually khaki J. Crew shorts. And they include a link to these J. Crew khaki kids shorts that these supposedly are in the statement, which I just thought was so out of pocket. But they didn't, however, produce any real evidence that this was true. Not only that, but they accused... Well, actually, you know what? Hold on a second. Maybe that's why the mom never mentioned the shorts. I was so confused earlier why it seemed so obvious. Why wouldn't you mention the shorts, the bright blue shorts? Maybe because she was there, the mom was able to see that those were, in fact, J. Crew khaki shorts, and I'm just completely wrong. So that's totally possible as well. Okay, so all shorts aside, not only that, but they accuse Grant of obfuscating the interaction she had with the manager on video by artificially cutting the clip short and posting only part of what she had overall recorded. Now, we're no strangers here at Public Freakouts Unleashed headquarters to people doing this, right? To manipulate the narrative of the videos they post to make people look a certain way, usually to make themselves look better rather than to make the other person look worse. They make another accusation as well. They seem to accuse her of trying to profit off of the encounter herself, not just in the media tour they said she was sending her son on, but also pointing to a GoFundMe page that she had set up following the incident's virality. Finally, the press release included multiple written statements of different employees and management employed by Atlas, all of whom vouched for the restaurants not being bigoted at all. One of these letters came from an African-American general manager who wrote an entire page about his positive experiences with Atlas Group. In contrast to these released statements, a Baltimore Sun investigative report reached out to patrons and former employees of these Atlas Group restaurants, remember that they own a bunch, who seemed to say quite the opposite. Instead, alleging a consistent pattern of this kind of discriminatory behavior at their restaurant locations. In one high-profile example in particular, a women's boxing world champion named Franchon Cruz Dezern, I'm not even going to try, sorry, said she had been told the restaurant was full even as multiple seats remained clearly unused, which on its own is kind of whatever. Only she was then turned away at another Atlas-owned location right down the street, this one citing dress code violations. So they seem to have done a big about face here to me from their initial statement with their, I'm aghast, I'm disgusted by what I saw in this video, and our commitment to racial diversity has never been strong. The whole HR spiel, to contrast that with now saying that absolutely nothing that happened was racially motivated at all. These two managers had only been fired because they weren't being delicate enough to the woman's concerns, I guess. There seems to me to be some daylight there between statement 1 and statement 2, and I think it becomes very hard to explain this all away, like press release 2 attempts to do, even just given their first response. They kind of dug their own grave a little bit. Disgusting is not a word one typically uses to describe a manager being slightly insensitive to a random customer's concerns. It seems more like the kind of word you'd use to describe an instance of racial discrimination that you were aghast at from one of your management staff. And if you never thought that that's what it was, you should have said that instead of being fake. Even taking literally every other factor out of this, the sudden total switch in tone and solidarity comes across very badly to me. It smells like fish. Get it? Because they're a seafood restaurant. Anyway, you will all, of course, be wondering what happened to the lawsuit, the restaurant group and the mother and son. Did they win their case? Did their case even get to trial? And since it's been about 3 years now, we have a conclusion. About a year later, a federal judge dismissed 3 of the 4 counts that Grant's lawyers had filed against the restaurant group. You'll remember that each count was for an $150,000 award. Now, I'm no lawyer by any means, but I did take a few constitutional law classes in college, so I'll try to break this down as good as I can. I think the results of an unbiased, legally trained judge weighing each side's arguments actually offers us a pretty sober view of the situation. It also calls into question some of the arguments made by both sides of this battle. So of the 4 counts, the first was a Section 1981 claim, equal rights under the law. And this you can think of as the core discrimination claim part of the lawsuit. The second count was intentional infliction of emotional distress. The third was a claim based on a legal concept kind of out there called respondeat superior, which is Latin for let the master speak. As the name implies, and simplified dramatically, this legal concept states that an employer can be held liable for the actions of a negligent employee. The fourth and final count was a Title II complaint, which I'm going to be honest, I don't fully understand, but it seems to be injunction related and was dismissed because of the plaintiff, meaning the ones doing the suing, failed to provide the appropriate written notices to the proper state and local authorities. Pretty boring, so we'll just skip right over that one. Of these 4 counts, only count 1, the discrimination-related count, importantly, was allowed to stand. The second count was multifaceted and came down to 4 separate parts that Grant's legal team had to demonstrate. 1, the conduct must be intentional or reckless. 2, the conduct must be extreme and outrageous. 3, there must be a causal connection between the wrongful conduct and the emotional distress. And 4, the emotional distress must be severe. Here, the judge actually shut down the plaintiff's arguments on not just 1, but all 4 of these sub-allegations. To the first, the ruling stated that the plaintiff had failed to demonstrate that the employee's actions were intentional discrimination, saying plaintiffs failed to set forth any acts that would allow this court to plausibly infer that the staff of Uzu Bay desired to cause emotional distress, knowing that emotional distress would follow, or acted recklessly with regard to causing such distress. On the second part, the conduct must be extreme or outrageous, the court decided that, quote, plaintiffs have not adequately alleged that Uzu Bay's conduct amounted to a major outrage, and that plaintiffs' bare-bones allegations that Uzu Bay's conduct humiliated them and was beyond the bounds of decency in society are simply insufficient to support a claim for IIED. For these reasons, plaintiffs have failed to plead the second element of their IIED claim. You'll remember the third part was severe emotional distress, and it requires the plaintiff to demonstrate factually that they suffered a severe, disabling emotional reaction to the event. From what I can tell, this has to include specific examples of treatment and evaluation that provide observable evidence of the facts of that inflicted distress. Here, the court decided that this claim of severe distress was, quote, threadbare, and the plaintiff apparently failed to provide specifics of the nature and severity of any treatment sought afterward. But it was the first count, which you'll recall was the discrimination-related claim, that was really interesting here because the court did end up allowing that to stand. And their reasoning was pretty pointed here. Not only did the court determine that the white child was actually as they call it, a comparable non-minority, on which to examine this claim, meaning they found him to be of similar age and dressed similarly enough to use the comparison as a point in the lawsuit, but they also determined that another major factor here was the restaurant employee's total failure to offer an adequate response, or really any response, when he was asked what the differences were between what the white kid was wearing and our main character was wearing. For these reasons, the court allowed this particular claim to proceed. Atlas, of course, represented this as a victory for them, citing the 3 counts that were thrown out as evidence of their overall innocence, sort of glossing over the fact that the count which was most representative of their possible wrongdoing in the overall public discussion over this incident was allowed to stand and found sufficiently demonstrable enough to continue. I found that interesting. Okay, so what do you guys think? Does knowing the court's read of this situation and culpability change your opinion of the incident? Do you think what happened to Grant and her son was a blatant act of discrimination, or do you think that this was a simple dress code mishap blown out of proportion? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give me your recommendations for other stories you want me to get to the bottom of, and I'll see you next time, so bye.